The sun shines through like God on stained glass, and the grass smells as if you laid near me. The sweet atmosphere is the door shutting me out today, and I can't put my finger on it, but you once said that happiness is like no other place, a place I have yet to truly visit. Like summers on the West Coast, ones I'll never know, my brain won't stop beating my ribs senselessly, and I can't sleep anything but listlessly. For sadness is not a place of misery, but misery is a place of uncertainty and a feeling of wanting to run. The sun beats heat like an anxiety through my skin and out my eyes. These tears are not for childish things, but a dream I can't remember. As the cat makes a rumble in his throat and constricts my airways, the flowers don't smell sweet anymore. And I can inhale this feeling like I failed, and the madness is only going in a million directions with no ticket to return. And I can't find happiness because it's not on a map. Tell me what stop I need to get off at in order to find comfortable sideways glares, wandering the cobblestone streets with a pack of Slims, waiting for someone to compare me to Shakespeare. Madness and great ones must know unwatched go. But my greatness is nowhere to be seen. Pull the curtains down because I forgot my line. It had something to do with locks, but I've lost the key. And my marbles that we used to find our dreams in. The colors reflecting the paths that we could travel on like road maps in the dirt. I read stanzas to find smiles, and I read lines to quote my heart. I'll let others determine the subway map of my life, and the more I wander looking for a home, the more home becomes a mystery. Is it famous that some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them? My thrust is in a little orange bottle with a title I can't read. Ratio fluoxetine, 20 milligrams, one for each dream. And the little green and yellow pills will brighten like stained glass colors in a church. And I will pray that I can smell the ending of the blue lit nights and the rain fading. For my madness was only a state that was poetic before I got here. Before I stood here, reading off my psychosis as if it were a love letter to the woman I loved when I'm sleeping beside a man. Feeling so inhibited that my lunacy can only be healed and understood by me. Shakespeare can't help me now. I'm like a turtle with no lips, just jaws that pinch your every nerve. I'll resort back to my shell and slowly miss until you pick me up and place me somewhere else. Draw me up my directions to my sanity, and please include the sun that is shining in through my window and falling out my heart, as though I'm a strainer from last night's supper. If you shall help to remember, fetter strong madness in a silken thread, stronger than ever before. So pass me that water so I can swallow my happy pills, because life isn't a comedy anymore. Okay. The smell of tape reminds me of sanitation. The smell of a hospital room that confined me for too long. The sound of wheelchair tires against grooves in the floor and the constant thumping of a respirator from the family members I've known before. The line beeps loudly at me, and I'll never remember the colors of the walls because inside my head, I was trying to remember home. They may have fixed a broken heart, but my sternum will always show cracks of where they forgot their instruments, and the nurse plays me like a fiddle. She says, "It won't hurt," but I see a green monster in her eyes, and I don't let the fear take over because it will only equal one more day of bed rest. I ask her for some ice cubes. And if I'm asking her to chip them away from an iceberg, she wipes her brow as though I'm just another 12-year-old asking to play outside in the wintertime with no jacket. I can tell she's tired, but so am I. She hands me a styrofoam cup that contains my nutrition and asks me how I'm doing. I know she wants to be sincere, but seeing children die doesn't always give you much hope. But she knows I'm just one of the lucky ones. As I inhaled the cold rocks of liquids, it slides down my throat, refreshing me of all the things I can't do. But I still feel better than the girl I named Marley. She seemed around my age, only slightly more spunky, except cancer took away her hair. She smiled at me like I should be pleased that I only have one pole to drag around here, and I smile back in hopes that she notices that I still think she's beautiful. I dream that she watched old movies with me and that we were a little older and both healthy. But I look at her parents' eyes when mine are nowhere in sight, and I see my mom just as what she would have gone through while she waited 5 more hours for them to fix something she didn't do. But in Marley's parents' eyes, there's a glimmer of positivity, no different than the men whose partners have AIDS. I can see that they want the best to be found in the last days, and she seems so interesting. And I want to run over to her, but my left brake won't come unstuck, and she disappears dragging 3 poles. I'll never know how one small girl could carry so much hope. And I want them to hurry up and discharge me out of here so I no longer have to lose friends by the minute and childhood by the second. Cartoons never show you this side of life. But I learned a lesson that reminds me every time I smell Scotch tape, that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, but when you eat it, you'll make it taste the best you ever could. And things that Marley taught me are to always say thank you and to always say please. So please forget that you were ever hooked up to a machine, and thank you for being an inspiration to me.